Hello and welcome back, everyone. Good morning. We are live
Hi.
here in Munich. In Europe, it's 10 a.m. here in Munich. Welcome to the World Interaction Design Day with our first guest here in Europe, which is Philip. Hello, welcome.
Hi,
How are you
everyone.
today?
I'm fine. A little bit nervous, but I'm fine.
Don't be
Thanks
nervous.
for having me.
We have really nice people here in the chat, so you guys, at any point in time, if you do have any questions for Philip, do let me know and I'll read them out to him. This is your chance. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm 23 years old and I've just finished my studies in media design this year. I'm based in Düsseldorf and I'm doing a lot of UI UX design, but also type design, because at my second semester I fell in love with type design and creating fonts, and I founded our own font foundry, and we've got like 3 million downloads now on the font in total. And yeah, that was something which really interested me and which I followed by, but I also had the love of UI UX design from the start. I'm designing for 8 years now, and yeah, so next to the Font Foundry, I also founded Design Creative Agency this year, and yeah, that's basically everything.
That's a lot.
In a nutshell.
That's a lot. Congrats.
Yeah.
So you
Thanks.
brought your bachelor thesis for us, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
That would be interesting to see. So what was your theme?
My theme was basically I was very free to do anything what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do a UI UX design. And my idea was to create a concept for an application to exchange digital business cards. So the replacement for paper business cards in the future. And because that's something which is not available right now, I really had to do a lot of research and to get to the point to understand why there isn't something like this right now on the market. There are many problems connected with it, and yeah, I tried to create a solution that solves every one of the problems, because the main problem with business cards, digital business cards, is the missing interaction, because there are a lot of traditions when you're exchanging business cards at a convention or like an exhibition. And also the Japanese have a big tradition when doing this. And with digital business cards, you really don't have the chance to make an interaction with the person you're like meeting right now. So I've created an application, and maybe I could show it on Behance.
Yeah, would be nice to see.
You can see my screen. That's good.
We have Andreas, Tim is here, Jürgen, Rolf, and Sabine. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah.
So the application shows that it's better to have digital business cards because they are eco-friendly, they are more easily searchable, you have all the data with you at any time. You don't have any limits of, like, you can't have too many business cards because your business card holder is too thin. And it's also GDPR compliant, which I will come to in a moment. And of course it saves space. So maybe I could just show the main screen. So you would have all your business cards stacked to see the recent cards you've just exchanged with someone. And you also have the ability to the feature to sort them and to filter them, to search them, to easily get to one business card. Like, you want to have the business card from the person you met in Munich in January, so you easily can put in these tags, these intelligent tags, and it would automatically show you the card which you have, yeah,
Exchanged
in January in Munich, right? So, and the interface to really exchange cards would just be to swipe up in the main screen. So you would have this little arrow right here. Mm-hmm. You would swipe up and you will get into the interface where you can see your business card, like in the same size as a regular business card, with all your information in icons, so like a little legend, something like that. And then you just would have to hold the phone next to another phone like an interaction. Like you can give it. The Japanese are giving their business cards like with two hands, and they are like having a big tradition with this. And maybe you could mimic something like
that
this.
is? That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, but I don't know why that is. But they have to bow. They have to like look the other in the eye, and the other one who gets the business card has to look at the business card first, and he is not allowed to put it away right away. So there are a lot of traditions coming along with this.
Did you go there, or
No.
was it part of your research that you
No,
read?
my girlfriend works in a Japanese company, and she studied Japanese
interesting.
stuff, and yeah, so she could help me with that. But I thought this was so interesting because you had to mimic like an interaction to bring people to use digital business card instead of the paper business cards, because otherwise they would like miss this interaction. And so when the phones are in this exchange mode and they come near each other, they will just automatically exchange both cards, and you would it automatically stack in your.
So we're even thinking about the interaction rather than just saying, "Oh, I just use AirDrop. Now you have my business card."
Because that's what the main thing I wanted to do.
Was that your first thought as well? That would have been my first thought. Like when you mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, but seems to be that there's a lot more to it." Like
because there are some apps already on the market where you can exchange business cards, digital business cards, but you always have to like use AirDrop or Bluetooth or I don't know, scan a QR code. And I thought this really wasn't like the interaction that felt natural. That felt natural to me. And so I was thinking, how can we create an application for business cards that will actually work?
Have you also done research to the technical side of it? How this
Yeah,
work?
I did. Yeah. And there were some problems because Apple, like you can see that's an iPhone, Apple really doesn't let programmers use their NFC chip. So you wouldn't be able to read data, send data or write data on an NFC chip from the other iPhone. So currently, with current technological standards, it's not really possible. But I really wanted to create a concept for something that might work in the future, because I think Apple will go in that direction to open things up. And I mean, when you're thinking about like in the next 20 or 30 years, are we still using paper business cards? Because there are a lot of advantages to have them digitally. And I just didn't want to like ignore the fact that there are business cards out of paper, and I just wanted to move them to a digital level as good as possible.
I think it's so much smarter. Like back in my days, I started doing these business cards with the QR codes, because I just, when I researched it, I found it so hard, like all the people typing, and then you always like misspell, or when you type it in your phone, then there's the autocorrect, and then it misspells the name that you just typed right, or the other way around. So that's I think true. That's I'm all for digital.
Yeah, that's true.
That looks great.
Yeah, so maybe I could just show the XD file, because I've created the whole prototype in Adobe XD.
Wow, yeah.
If I find it, yeah. And there are a lot of screens, because I also thought about the design of and individuality of business cards, which has to be thought of, because people still want to create and design their own business cards. So there should be an easy small editor within the app for people who really don't design that much often, or like are not designers. They could like easily go to a template and change the color, change the typography maybe, and insert a logo, and then they would easily have a business card which is ready. But they also could buy templates from the store, and we also would give developers an SDK, so they could create templates and design templates. So the industry of designing business cards wouldn't like move. It just would be the job of a developer to create a business card, not a designer anymore. So that's also something I've thought of. And yeah, maybe we could go to the GDPR side now, because the General Data Protection Regulation is something we all have to talk about now, right? So I also had to think about that. And the thing is, with paper business cards currently, if you're getting a paper business card and you want to put the information in your system or something like that, like you want to digitalize it, you scan it with an app and it gets digitalized and you have it in your smartphone, you actually would need a consent form, like a PDF or something, by the person who's giving you the business card. And no one is giving a consent form with a paper business card on a convention. I mean, that's crazy. So basically you have to get the consent to use the information, and that's something which can be easily solved with an app, because with an app you can easily embed this consent form like as a PDF in the profile you're sharing. So when you're sharing a business card, it looks kind of like this, like you're getting this little preview, but it's not the actual business card because you're not getting any information out of this. So if you open a profile, just have a look here. Hope that's the right artboard. So if you're opening a profile, you will have the ability to see all the information, like in a profile page sort of thing. You are getting social media links if the person set this up, and you can also play a video if maybe the person is a video creator. You could embed a video into this, and you can add a note, which is also something I think is very useful when you're like at the convention and you want to remember what you have talked about to that person. You can like easily put that in. There's also an information to show you when did you meet that person, so that you also can see this. And there are the different information the person put into his profile. And to access them, I thought of another interaction, so that the user really interacts with the device itself. He can just drag this, like the slide to unlock feature from the original iPhone. Can just drag the icon, and then a call would be made. Yeah.
And that's all done in XD.
And it's all done in XD with the auto animate feature, which I think is pretty cool, and which I also will be using when I'm designing the cookie notice later on.
Brilliant. And when you hang up, you get back to the screen.
Yeah, right.
Brilliant.
And one icon is missing, and that's not the error of XD, that's my mistake. So
we get the concept.
I think it's the wrong screen now, so I have to reload this. Okay. But the thing I wanted to show you is, okay, it's the wrong screen. I'm sorry. If you click on...
You have loads of screens.
Yeah,
right?
I have loads of screens.
How do you feel about working with so many screens in XD?
I think when I'm into that, when I'm into the project, like I'm doing it or not, I have the complete overview and somehow it all feels connected, but I haven't opened this file for like the last 4 months, and now I'm like, okay, how did they connect? And I maybe had made some mistakes, because for the final video, which was my bachelor thesis, so I created the whole prototype in XD, but I wanted to make a video to show it, and that's the bachelor thesis. And for the video, which I edited in Adobe Premiere, I had to do some tricks with XD so that I can later cut it like that it's working, that there are even more features and that there are even more transitions. Because with XD currently there are many possibilities to really create something final, which I think is absolutely brilliant. But to maybe create some unique transitions or like features and to show them, you would need to edit this later with a program like
But
Adobe
it's also a
Premiere.
nice tip for our community out there that you can have a concept. Nothing has to be like pixel perfect.
Yeah,
it's still
sure.
a prototype, and if you can't bring everything across in your prototype, you still have the option to create a video to bring your point across. So,
Sure, yeah.
So
that's
people
right.
understand what your concept is all about.
I also love the combination of working with those two programs, like not doing everything in XD, like creating the app in XD, and then to like move it to another level with Premiere. So
I did that too, but back in my days, I did my design in Photoshop.
okay,
And then
yeah,
I animated
I
it in
mean,
Premiere. I did exactly the
yeah,
same for my bachelor
when there's
thesis,
no
so-
XD, what
Yeah, that was.
what should you do?
I wish I would have had XD during my study times. Yeah.
So if you click on those three buttons, so there's three dots right here, you would come to a screen which is here. So in that screen you can change the language of the profile. Like if you just received a profile in Japanese and you don't get anything of it, you can just change it back to English or to German or something else. And you can also toggle if you want to show this little information that says met on January 1st, 2019. Maybe you don't need to know that and you want to save space, or you don't need that note option or something like that. So really you can customize the profile for yourself, but just for yourself. You can also rearrange the information for yourself just only, and so that you really get a customized experience. And now we're coming to that GDPR consent form, because you can click on this button and then there will be a PDF downloaded right away, which has all the information and backs you up if you ever get in a lawsuit, but you probably won't. But if there would be like the right consent form, which you don't get at a convention now, or like.
So basically, this is more according to the law than a paper business card.
Definitely.
Yeah. Really interesting, right?
I mean, most people really don't know that they have to also give consent or get consent if they are using those information in their apps or something like that. And I think most people are doing it wrong, also because it's new.
Doesn't the action of giving my card out to someone imply that already?
Yeah, it's
Otherwise,
funny because it implies that you can use this information, like you can dial that number, you can drive to that address or something. You have the right to do this, but you can't really store this data in another system, because you would like take this information and you would store it, and the other person wouldn't really know what you're doing with it, what happens to it. Can I remove any of it? That's basically the whole point of GDPR. And so the other thing I was thinking, because this solves the problem of getting the consent when you're exchanging business card, but what if the other person doesn't have that app? Because that will be a thing in the first 10 years or so. I don't know how fast this will adapt, or if it ever adapts. So you still have the option to scan your business card, your regular business card out of paper. Where is it? Here. So the process of scanning a business card is similar to any other business card scanner on the market, so that's nothing new, but it has to be included because it's for the transition. It's very important. So whenever you're scanning a business card, it will automatically get all the information and put into.
Also, it populates it automatically.
Yeah,
that's
right.
the idea.
That's the idea.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, so that they get to really information from text, and you also can choose a color theme for that design, for that little business card design you will have in your stack, and it automatically will suggest some of the colors that has been found in the business card itself. So it's kind of like AI, but
not quite.
Not quite, yeah, but
cool.
Something for a start. And thing is, when I'm getting those information now, I basically have to make this work now. When I click on done, I would actually need to send an email or something to that person with a business card to get their consent. And the app also does this for you, because it there's this little pop-up, and you can send the email right away, so that it's a completely automated email with a text you can set up in the settings. And in that text, basically, there will be sending like, so the text says, this person is using your data in this app, and if you don't want that, you can remove it. And then there will be a link, and the person actually can remove my scanned business card, so that I get like a pop-up, the person removed it. And I think that is the full transparency and the full control of GDPR, because if you're like sending someone an email that you don't really want them to store your information anymore, and you basically have to trust them that they will erase them. I mean, you can never know. And with this kind of technology, I think it's making more sense with the GDPR, which many people really don't like, because it's making a little bit more, it's making everything a little bit more difficult and not easy to understand. But I think the main reason because the GDPR was created is a good one. It's full about trust and responsibility. And
have you done research how many people are actually aware what it even is?
No, I didn't. But from telling from people I know, it's not really much know this kind of stuff. And I mean, it's basically new. It's from last year, so it will take some time.
Because I think it would be interesting to see if you were to do user testing with that. If someone really gets sent such an email, if they get panic and they just said, no, remove, I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? Even though they forgot that they just handed out a business card. That's a risk that comes with it, isn't it?
That's true, yeah. So I also want to give the option to, so when I go to the settings, do it again. When I go to the settings, you can see like the thing.
Give some detail about it.
Can give some detail. You can explain, and there's also a little button. Do I need to do that? So the user who's using the app maybe doesn't know about the GDPR, so he can also get like to know it. And this button maybe could be, or something like a link in that email as well. But I thought along about the option of like disabling this feature, because I think it's really about anyone to decide if they want to do like this pop-up, if they really want to send an email to someone, because I think they should do, but I think also they should have like it's currently now with you're getting a business card and you're putting in information, you really should have the decision to contact this person.
I think it's great that you have it in the app, because your app is not only easy to use for business cards, it's also informative and like an education tool to the people who are using it, who might not be aware of the GDPR. Right. So that is great. But then the concern that comes with it is when you get like a paper business card, is the other person who's not aware of that, who doesn't have the education of the app and just gets this email. That's really the risk that comes with it.
That's true.
It?
That's true.
But that again in the picture is another persona,
but
right?
This is a good point. Yeah.
Well, there are always more and more personas coming in the picture. The deeper you get into a project, you usually always start with one persona, right?
Sure.
And that's what you have done here. And I think that I mean it looks absolutely great, and I really get the concept. But then when you expand it further, then you always have to think about all the other personas that are around and how do they interact. So yeah,
that's true.
That would be interesting to see. But let me know when you get to that point.
I think it will be a while.
Another question that I have, you also mentioned like this translation option, which you thought about, which I think it's great that you can switch it on. Have you also done any interface in Japanese, and just to see how it looks? You also mentioned you're a typeface designer, so obviously there's a completely different typeface than our alphabet. Have you tried it? How it would look in your design?
No, I didn't know.
Do you know there's in XD there is this plugin called Bold Ready?
So
have you tried it? Yeah,
no.
Shall we try it?
Yeah, sure. Of
it's
course.
So cool. I absolutely loved it. I wished I would have had it during my times when I.
What's it called?
World Ready. Here we can also see how fast it is to actually download a plugin.
Is it a
It's
word?
It's two words.
Oh, it's two words. Okay.
Yeah, world and then. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's how fast you can install a plugin. So
yeah, plugins are great. This is my this is an account I've set up for Adobe, but on my personal account I have like 20 or something or more plugins installed because I really love the features you can achieve with that. The icons you can include, like the artboards, tidying up your artboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're a developer out there, or if you are creative with development skills, you can help us creatives to get work done faster. If you have an idea and you know JavaScript, please code one for us.
Yeah, that's true.
So all
I wish
you have
I could
to do
code
is,
in JavaScript.
So all you have to do for this plugin, you just have to select an artboard, whichever one you want, and then you go to plugins, world ready. Yeah, you need to accept things. We always accept things.
Sure.
And then you just select. I think there was Japanese is here.
Oh,
it's right here. So you need to untick. Yeah, we don't need German for now.
Yeah.
And then translate, and it just creates another artboard.
Wow.
In Japanese. Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
I've done so many designs in my life in other languages, and usually you always get the official translation at the end of the project, and then you like when I did, for example, I did an app in Swedish and Finnish. I don't know any of these languages. Also in Turkish, I don't know it. And then suddenly it was completely, my buttons were like, it was too small because the text was a lot longer. And I think that's what comes out here as well. Like we clearly see it, right? How it doesn't really fit into the button.
Yeah, that's true. And but
I think it's so cool. I mean, it uses Google Translate or Microsoft Translate, like obviously automated translation. So it's not like accurate. I think for business cards it might work for simple translations, but obviously when you have complex text, it's not accurate. But it still helps you as a designer to see how it would fit, so you can design it until you get the official translation from your client. So
and it also keeps the names, right?
Yeah.
So
it kind of detects,
right? Like the email or the...
Yeah, detects it. That doesn't have to be translated.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nice example.
Yeah. That's cool.
I have when I downloaded this plugin, I literally translated into every language I didn't know, just to see. Wow.
You're playing around with those plugins, all day.
Like, how can I conquer the world? Let's start with all of the languages.
That's so cool.
Yeah, great. Nice project.
Thank you. Yeah. So this was a little example of how to use GDPR in your project, but I've got another one.
Yeah.
Because my latest project is a redesign of a platform, of a font database platform, so you can download fonts similar to the font. And I'm so excited to reveal it today because the creator and owner has allowed me to give a sneak peek and a preview, because it's still in beta and we're only doing the UI rigs and the programming right now, so I don't know when it's going to be online, but he was so kind and to let me show this to you.
That's really nice.
I'm very excited to show it the first time, actually.
Thanks from our side. We love such clients.
Yeah, those clients. He's the best client I've ever had.
And everybody heard it now.
Yeah. So to show his website, maybe to show everyone what's it's called, what it is. I don't know if anyone knows it already. It's called fontspace.com. It's pretty huge, actually. So it has, I think, 10 million page views a month and 2 million active users a month. So it's a great place to find fonts, and especially free fonts, display fonts for your project to really stand out. So that's the current version of the website, which is online since the website is online since 2006, actually. So
and they have never redesigned it.
They did redesign it over the years, but this is like the current version, which I think is 3 or 4 years old. I don't know. And so he came to us to our agency, to design agency, and said, we want to have something completely different, because I also did the font redesign which got a lot of appreciation on Behance, and he saw that, and he kind of like wanted to have something like this for his website.
So Behance is a very important platform, isn't it?
It's a tool, actually. I think it's the most important tool for me as a designer, because with that one project, I got so many other projects. It's just great to...
You also showed your project on Behance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just when we started. So
yeah, right.
I see that very often in our stream. That's really professionals, even ones that are a lot older than you, they still use their Behance page to display projects. So
right.
And I keep telling, I'm working a lot with students at the moment, and I don't know where it's coming from, but they are being told to have a website where they display their portfolio, and I always say no. Don't, and they were like, oh, I paid already the subscription fee. I said, don't waste your money. Use Behance, because that's the community. So yeah, if you guys out there are also at the start of your career, I can only recommend using Behance. It's for free.
Definitely.
And yeah, even professionals use it. So that's how you can get jobs and get noticed.
Yeah. So this was the project I've done for the font redesign, and yeah, he just saw this, and he contacted me and wanted us to do the UI UX redesign, and we also were able to do complete corporate design redesign. So we also created a new logo, new colors, basically everything all new. And it was such a fun project to do, because we had all that.
That's the best job, right?
It was so great. It was a dream job. It was a dream job, because I'm like a typography nerd and a UI UX designer.
Amazing.
And it's like these two pieces fitting
like Christmas
right together.
And Easter and birthday all together.
All together and every day during that project. So yeah.
Right.
But to show you the website, you have different pages for, like, you can find the most popular popular fonts. You can find new fonts. You can even click a random button to get inspired by all of kinds of crazy fonts. And there's also a lot of filtering features implemented. And yeah, that's basically the current website and the current logo. And yeah, maybe I could just show you the redesign now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we don't have any questions in the chat so far, but a lot of comments. Rakesh is here, Sebastian, Ravi, Veronique, Jan, Norby, Matthias. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So that's the complete file.
Wow.
That's like all in, but maybe we could just start with one screen, and that's this one, because this is the homepage, the starting landing page if you're going to fontspace.com. And as you can see, there's a lot that has changed. We've got a new logo. We've created a logo that has more of a space theme than the last one. We wanted to create a space theme that looks modern and cool, and not like the space themes from the 2000s or something. So we also played a lot with gradients. So the elements to highlight all have this this one gradient. And yeah, to start the page, you would have like this box right here, which is the box to find every font on that website. So basically it's a navigator system, and you are just clicking like the different tabs on here, and the content under that will change, and the whole website won't reload, and it's just about this little box to explore fonts. And you're not like thinking of you don't have to think about clicking on the top of something, because everything will happen in this box, and this box is like everywhere throughout the whole design. It's like a red band. And yeah, you've got these font previews right here, and you've got download buttons. Also got the ability to add those fonts to collections, to share those collections, and a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, if there are any questions about that redesign. I don't know what to talk about, but there are some.
I think it looks great. I would have a question. Have you done
Yeah.
research into the current interface, how users are interacting with it? So you see that they're clicking through and it loads again and it takes a lot of loading time, and that's why you put it that way?
We're currently at that stage where we are like having this basically, it looks so final, but it's a draft actually. So we're like implementing this because the good thing is that the owner and the creator is also the developer, so he's
Brilliant.
doing like everything, and he has all this analytics data to see where people are clicking the most.
That's the best that you can have.
That's so great, and we are currently like trying to take this draft and to adapt it to that what people are using the most, and also like giving them a much easier and cleaner UI UX for them to. Like an example of previously, it was there was a feature to change the color of the fonts and the background color, and I decided to remove this feature, and I think many people won't like this.
Why? Why do you think that?
But I think when you're like in this experience, every font needs to look the same, and it has to say the same preview, and you basically you're in the first stage of getting a new font, and fonts are colorless. They are black and white, and you want to see the font. And if you found the right font, I mean, you can type in anything, you can see sample text or something like that. But if you really want to use the font in the color and in that background, it's so easy to download. It's just one click. You don't have to do anything else. It's just one click, and you can install it. And they are all free. You don't have to pay anything. So it's so easy to put this in your project if you really think that it's fitting. But I think you can find out if the font is fitting by the font itself, by its core. And I'm just a typography nerd, and I don't want to have fonts like
being displayed in another way than black and white.
Yeah, and to make sure that they are displayed in a good way, so that the font designers are like have their font always in a good representation and something like that. We are giving we implemented in a night mode, which is something completely new.
Jan is asking, can you show us the user account page where you see every font you have downloaded?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a new feature actually. Does he know it?
I don't know. Do you know Jan? Is he your friend?
No. No. That's a really good
Has
point.
he hacked into
because that was actually a feature I thought of while doing the redesign, because I'm the perfect user. I'm like designing this website for myself. Because I like to download fonts all the time, and I want the feature to see what fonts I've downloaded, especially when I'm moving to a different computer or something like that. And so history, like a history in your browser, would like be totally makes sense. So we've also implemented this. And it's already working. It's working great, and I love it. It's just so great. And
do you have the design here?
The design is here, yeah.
Yeah, can we take a look at it?
If I find it.
But that's a cool thing about XD, isn't it? That you can really have so many artboards, and you can just zoom in and out, and it's so fast.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's so smooth as well,
yeah,
right?
so smooth, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the download history page. You're seeing this box again because this box basically is everywhere. And getting all the fonts with a date when you have downloaded the fonts, and that's actually a feature I was missing on DaFont. So I think it would be great to have this one.
That's cool. So yeah, Jan, your question is answered here. Mushaba is asking, how did you go about creating such a huge file? What was the process? What did you figure out first? The wireframing, the design?
Yeah, so the file is large now, but it started very small with just this one screen, and we did a lot of wireframing like on paper. But I'm the kind of guy that really doesn't want to make much of like prototyping and think about it. I just want to create the elements that which have to be there. And then I think about rearranging them, because with XD it's so easy to move things and to think to look if it's working, and so I'm not doing that much on paper. But
so which one was your first screen that you started with?
The first screen, actually the very first step was to recreate the logo and the colors and everything.
Oh, really? That's what you started with?
That's what I started with, because the logo is like the center of everything, and everything has to adapt to that corporate design and the UI as well, of course. So we created the logo, which the old logo was like two lines, like two line, like a break in the line, and we wanted to keep that because we think that's more compact, and it also gave us the chance to use that little space around here with that new more space-looking Saturn planet.
That's cool. Yeah, I get it. That's great.
And because space, I mean, there should be a lot of black, but there shouldn't be too much of a black. So we wanted to have the header in black, and the gradients.
Is it really
just look
black or is it gray?
No, it should be black. It should be like all
so
black.
It's just my ankle. Okay.
No, it's black, and the gradients also pop up a little bit more. So we really like that. And so we start with the logo and with the header, of course, and then we looked at the objects at the current website, which has to be taken over. But we really thought about like tidying it all up, like making it less cluttered. Like when you click on browse, there's too much. There are too many options. I mean, options are great, and don't get me wrong. The creator of FontSpace, he's implementing so many features, and I really love that. But I'm always feeling a little bit.
Sometimes you have to narrow it down to keep it simple, to make it easier.
And I really don't want to narrow him down, because he has like all these great features, and he's a developer. He's like, he want to give the people all the features that they possibly could have been there. And
that concept comes actually from restaurants, because the restaurants that have just let's say 10 dishes on their menu, but those 10 dishes they do properly, they are the successful restaurants, whereas the ones that have like 50 up to 100 dishes, they are the not successful ones, because you just can't
Simplicity,
make everything great, and you just overwhelm the user who comes in there and wants to order food, and it's like, oh, what am I taking? And if you just have an option out of 10 and like 10 are great, then that's great. That's what's running. Sure. So the same applies for this.
Yeah. So I tried to implement as much as features as possible, and I tried to hide them in other sub-menus and sub-contexts and something like that. But I also had to say from time to time, no, we don't have to do this. I mean,
but
it's great to have.
Analytics, right? You had so you could see what users were more and less clicking on it.
Yeah, that's true. But
that should help as well, right?
Yeah,
say, look, no one is clicking on blah blah blah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the most things of the part I wanted to remove right away from the start, like when I see them, he could back this up with, okay, we can remove it anyhow. No one is using it anyhow, so let's just ditch it.
But that's just what comes with work experience, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you just
definitely.
know, like,
definitely,
because you have done so much research and backed it up, and then over time you just know because of all the research.
There's also a lot of work to do with research in the future before we should go live. So this is just like how I'm imagining this website, and And
you made it interactive already, this prototype?
I did make it interactive.
Yeah, can we click through it?
I hope so. I think so.
Whoa,
so
dark mode.
The animation is still set to auto-animate. I can just change this with prototype. Oh, you can see those
That's great, seeing all these wires.
Yeah, those wires. And cool thing really is it just blends. Like you can create those cool transitions, and okay, this is also something I have to remove.
Live editing.
Live editing, right? So, yeah.
Jan is saying he loves that.
Yeah, so that was like the compromise of giving the option to see the fonts in white on a dark scale, because that's also something people might need for their project. I don't think it's necessary to see different colors or something like that, but negative and black.
Did you see the analytics? How many people actually change it into an actual color ever?
No, I didn't know. I didn't get any of the analytics, so I have to ask the creator. So yeah, but I think people will be thankful for having less options. I mean, it's great to have many options, but I'm like the kind of guy who wants to have as less as options as possible, so that everything is so clear and everything is so tidied up that I can get to wherever I want to go much quicker.
I think you also have to outweigh what benefit does it give the user to give this option. So as you say, like black and white, okay, gives that benefit, but does it give any benefit to change it to green or red or I don't know? Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe not.
So.
And yeah, and it's a buttonless, and I think this it's more appealing to someone who really just want to find a free font for their project, and they don't want to be intimidated by too many features.
Yeah.
And so that was a point. So yeah,
that's great. And you have so can we zoom out? Actually, I love seeing
sure.
all the
wires. Yeah, I have to select everything
because it looks like a jungle. I think.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah,
it's so cool.
It's
so
great.
You made the entire thing interactive. That's how you can see how you can use XD to really create a fully functional prototype.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great.
Definitely. You have to do this because you need to know whether it's feeling natural to click on that button. And
was your client impressed as well?
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. He's such a great client. He loves everything I do.
But did he know about XD?
I don't think he did, but he do now because
I often hear like when people show an XD prototype for the first time to a client, they're like, "Whoa, is it already built?" Like
yeah.
Because it's so smooth and it looks almost real.
Yeah.
So
he really was impressed with me be able to send him a version that he can like get all the specs out of it. Like you can you can share it, and then you can have like a version to get all the specs. And I also was very impressed by that.
You don't have to create design guidelines anymore. How cool is that?
That's so amazing. I think this is so
also
important.
One of my favorite features.
Yeah.
The share for development link. Yeah.
And it really worked great to give him all the stuff, and so there never was any problem, because I've created an application which is called Icon Club. So that it's an application. A little bit of advertisement for me here. It's an application to find icons. Like there are 9,000 icons in this little app that you can download for Mac and Windows. And I've concepted it, I've designed it, but I didn't code it because I can't code it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I don't have to. Yeah, right. Yeah. And I found a friend who really codes really well. So he did all of this. Like I've created it in XD and in Illustrator, and it really showed that sometimes because I was designing the most part of it in Illustrator, it's like not kind of a hassle, but you have to like export every little icon in different sizes and something like that. And it still was a great collaboration, but the collaboration I had with XD, completely working in XD, is one of the first project besides the bachelor thesis, which I completely created in XD and not started in Illustrator, because that's how I started. It was so much more seamless because we don't have to like take care of anything. It was just great. So
it saves so much time.
It saves time. It's so easy. I didn't have to do anything basically. I could just give him like the file, and he could get all of the icons, and so That's also a very
Another cool feature
thing.
is also
Yeah.
that you can open your Illustrator files and Photoshop files.
That's
and
true. That's
I
true.
did that actually with one of my university projects, which I all did in Photoshop, obviously, or Illustrator. And I opened them and I was almost crying because suddenly my bachelor thesis was there in XD. And I was like, oh my
That's
God,
cool, yeah.
it's 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great to redesign things as well, like, because when I think
course.
about how far back I did that, and if you have such files and you redesign it, you can just open them and you can take certain assets that you want to reuse.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So you also have prepared the cookie banner UI kit, right?
Right. Yeah.
So let's bake some cookies.
Let's
Who
bake
doesn't
some
want to have
cookies?
cookies? We have.
I want to have cookies.
10:50
Unfortunately, we have to
in the
make
morning.
the other kind.
So what do we start with? We take a bowl and we put in.
Right. So I wanted to create a cookie notice for font space.
Yeah.
So for the homepage you just showed you, and I will be taking a cookie notice from the impeccable cookie notice UI kit, and I will like transform it into the corporate design and add some stuff also. But first of all, maybe we could talk about cookie notice in general. Like there are so many kinds of cookie notice I'm seeing all over the place. Like
What's the difference between the chocolate chip and the macadamia?
The macadamia nut is way much more tasty than the no. So we can so there are some like really short ones. I mean, the UI kit is a perfect example to show this. There are some very small short ones which are just saying by using this website you agree to the policy and everything, and you can click on the policy and read through that.
Can you actually not agree after that law? Is there any way?
Yeah, you really don't. You're using the website, and that means you're agreeing.
Yeah,
and
right?
I think the newest thing in the regulation is that you can't even use this kind of cookie notice anymore. Because I've read something yesterday that they are like forcing you to make an OK and a no button, so that you have
don't accept.
Yeah, don't accept. That's right.
Because I think I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I always accept cookies.
Yeah, I think everyone does. So. Yeah, there are some kind of cookie notices because you have that small one, and then there is this larger one which gives you like cookie settings. Like
Jan is saying we love cookies; they will be ready in a flash. Just make sure not to soak them in Java. Nice one.
That's a good advice. So the bigger one gives you all the settings. Like there are some different kind of cookies. You get the strictly necessary cookies, which are strictly necessary to use that website, so you have to turn this on to use the services that are being provided. But you also got functional cookies and performance cookies, which don't necessarily have to be turned on, but they improve like how the website work, and they give you like personal features and other cool stuff. So basically, it's good to have them all turned on, but the user should have the possibility, the ability to turn them on manually.
Okay.
So this one is much rarer than the other one. I think most of the people will know the other one, which is like a little box or like this full width cookie notice. So I will be designing this one in for font space, but I also will be designing the other one. So and how that works and how I will implement that's something for later.
Get started.
Yeah, let's just
so how
get
do you
started.
Get started when you have a UI kit?
I have to think about the cookie notice I want to create, and then I will just look about the different cookie notices here, and I think I already found my favorite one, which I will just copy and paste into my artboard.
As far as I have seen, they only different color, don't they?
No, one of them, some of them like have more text and different text, which is not saying like if you're using the website, then you agree to this, but they are saying like you have to agree to this, or you can click on the cookie settings. So there are really different ones, and I like this text actually, because it doesn't like tell you it's like it gives you the information that you can manage your cookies at any time, what are cookies, which kind of cookies they have implemented, and something like that. And I think I will be taking this one because it has the accept cookies
And that is
button.
alone your decision based on the regulation law? Or is it also a decision from the developer's point of view where you could say, oh, here's my UI kit.
Yeah.
Which one shall we go for?
Yeah, sure. It basically it is the at the end it is the decision of the client and the developer, and since this is so on the short notice, this is not speaking. I haven't showed this design to him, so this basically will be something I will be giving to him and say, hey, look, we should do it that way because of that and that and that.
Oh, he will see it now.
Yeah, maybe he is watching now. If
you hear, say hi in the chat. Or some people are watching from YouTube.
He's watching tomorrow on YouTube. I don't know. I mean, he's in the US, so...
Oh, okay.
I don't know what time
as soon as he wakes up, he will know what cookie he will get for breakfast.
Yeah. So to make the best trustworthy experience, I think there should be an accept cookies button and a button to change the settings. But that's just my opinion because that gives all the control and you are like interacting with it. You are giving consent by clicking on it. And many of the people are just giving consent, so it's not that big of a problem if there's just one button that they will click on it. But some of the people who really want to have the control and want to see everything, they should click on cookie settings, and we need to have another bigger screen with all these different settings. And another thing I wanted to implement is something that I haven't seen on many websites, actually just on one, but this was a website about cookie notices, so they try to do everything, right?
Every cookie possible.
Every cookie possible.
Wow.
And that's the cookie notice that stays at the page.
Okay.
And I really don't know if that is something that will be implemented in the final version of FontSpace. It's just something for the chat here, because I think it's interesting that you have the ability to always change your mind, because that's something which has to be in the GDPR too, that it's always easy to revoke your cookie settings and your consent and something like that. And most time on these websites, you click on accept cookies and it's gone. And how do you get back to that screen?
Have you ever done research or asked like actual users, would you want to go back if you had the option, and then see how much percentage says yes or no?
No,
because that would also give you the answer whether you need it.
I think research
not, right?
is one of my
downside.
Yeah, one of my problems I'm doing. I'm like the one I want to create something, and I grab my MacBook and I just start right away. And I think in my like chronological order, research comes at the second step, because I want to create something. I just want to bring something from my mind that's not affected by anyone else, not any analytics and not any other voices. So I just want to create something that I think is cool, and then to look what others are saying, and then to adapt it to that. I don't know if
maybe that's my IBM background. We always do research first, and then we execute.
That's definitely something
but
I
that
should
would help.
improve.
Yeah, because I just I always praise for you have to do design thinking. It helps you so much, because the further down you're in the project, the more you are in love with your project, and if then something comes in that you have to change and it destroys your entire vision, then it brings you down, it brings the project down, it slows everything down. So that's why I always highlight it's so important to do research such as design thinking up front, so you can take decisions and narrow down the important decisions for the time being, and then add up on the important decisions once you have validated your assumptions that you have made. So
that's true.
So maybe that helps to choose the cookie. To see how.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. So maybe we could just copy one and edit it in the other file.
Jan is saying the cookies will be slightly burned in the oven when you switch over to font spaces dark mode. Crispy. Yeah, Jan
we
is,
also have
Jan
to
is on
think
a row.
about that. That's a good
We have a
point.
comedian in the chat here, entertaining
And
us.
that's also, I really don't want to keep that color because it doesn't match the UI. So I will be working with a gradient to don't have that problem.
So you copied and pasted that one over, right?
Yeah, right.
And does it keep it as a component?
I unlinked it, right?
You just unlinked it,
yeah,
yeah.
because I want to like.
What's the advantage and disadvantage of unlinking or not unlinking it? What would you say?
So the advantage is that you can change things afterwards, like if
Right
you have
in your document,
right in your
rather than in
document.
the source document.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's great to have the ability to change colors if there are more objects and more colors. But in this case, it's such a little notice, and I think I just want to have it all unlinked because I want to change a lot of this stuff around here. But it's a great feature.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what would you start with first? Changing
So,
the color?
We could do that, yeah. But I would have started with the rounded edges because
Yeah.
the whole design language is about these rounded edges and every element fitting inside these rounded edges. I don't know if there's another example of this, but
So you really want to make the cookie part of the design,
yeah,
rather than having it like
yeah,
an external
Yeah.
feeling object.
yeah, that's right. So
Do you actually work with grids or you wait until it snaps?
you mean like I'm preparing
The
some
layout grid, yeah?
Yeah, I'm working with grids because
Yeah.
everything has to line up. But I'm starting like with one object, like the header, and that's my width. Like,
Yeah.
you can go up here, like that's my width, and everything else is responsive.
Yeah.
So I'm going with that, and then I draw a line, and then I just like, look that everything fits. But with XD, you really don't have too much to do much of gridding because everything like snaps and. So that's also something what is working. And of course, this is also like a template for the developer. So when the developer creates this, he has to also like make sure that everything aligns, and I think he does because he's a very good developer. So I don't really have to make it 100% pixel perfect, but I have to like look that everything aligns and stays in that same alignment.
Yeah, that's great. I think what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to send you guys the link where you can download this cookie banner UI kit.
That's a good idea.
It's on the IXDD page under resources. Let me copy the download link. Here's the link where you can download the cookie banner UI kit if you also want a cookie. If you feel hungry by now.
I do.
Imagine you could download the cookie and just
Eat it.
Maybe that was the original idea
original
of
thought ending.
delivery services. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I thought of cookie notices. The original thought, and
I think
some people
I
misunderstood.
read that somewhere that it was a cookie was in the Unix language was a package of data that is being stored,
Okay.
and that was called magic cookies.
Okay.
I read that like long time ago. I'm not even sure if it's like if it's correct or not. But yeah, that's how, because I was like, when this whole cookie thing came out, I was like, why cookie? Don't make me hungry. So I googled why cookie, and I think it was the name was, I mean, if you guys out there know the real reason for it, please let me know. But in the last cell of my brain, I think it was the magic cookie of the Unix language, which is a package of data being stored, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'm not putting my hand on fire for this because it was many years ago. So if you guys have the answer why it's called cookie, let me know in our chat. Yeah. So your cookie has a gradient by now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
A rainbow cookie.
A rainbow cookie, right.
Who doesn't want a rainbow cookie?
I don't know. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't want one.
There are also unicorn cupcakes back home in London.
Oh, and
they look similar.
So they have like a rainbow.
They have like the icing on top, which looks like your cookie right now.
Oh, okay.
Getting homesick.
So I will be adding a gradient, a light gradient in the background, because I think it's getting too noisy around here. There's so much happening, and I want to get the cookie note as another layer. So I will be like fading this into the background.
Jan is asking if they're gluten-free. Yeah, I'm sure we can make them gluten-free.
I mean,
there must be some gluten-free ones in the UI kit. Just download it, and you will find the.
I think they were right at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Right at the bottom to the left. It's the gluten-free option.
Yeah. So many cookie jokes around here. I like it.
But no one is giving an explanation. Am I the only nerd here? No one answers my question. Guys out there. So can you also use the copy and then use it as a start and then change it and make it custom? Or are there regulations how you should formulate your cookie?
No, I think it's important that the cookie is visible when you're visiting the site. So it can be floating, it can be sticky to the bottom, it can be sticky to the top. So I think there's a lot of freedom. The most important thing is the sentence, which is telling you we are using cookies, because I mean everyone is using them right now.
To how you formulate the sentence?
The sentence, I really don't know. I don't have any clue. I only design that.
So just use the.
I'm using the template.
Just use the template. You will
template
be safe.
Is great.
Impeccable. Must have thought about it. We will figure out later today, or like tonight when the US stream takes over. They will have Impeccable in the live stream. So maybe we should watch that
tonight.
We are
trusting him right
and
now.
And we type our questions in the chat. Hey, can we trust you?
Yeah, it's
on your UI.
It's again about trust and responsibility, right? I mean, I'm trusting that this is the right sentence to go with.
And if not, then we blame Impeccable now.
No, but it isn't final. I mean, that it could also be blind text by now. I'm more about how would this cookie work.
Yeah, I feel designers always think about how does it look. Whenever I had like any error messages to design, I was just like, this is it. Lorem ipsum. That's it. That's how it's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a copywriter. There are people who are copywriter, and then I think if there are people who studied this and then they know their stuff, who am I
People tend to forget that it's a separate job.
Yeah, right.
It's a job.
And
it's
then
hard.
I don't want to interfere with that because they know their stuff, and who am I to like do their part? So
100% agree. Yeah.
It's the same with the privacy policy. I couldn't like type a privacy policy right now because it's like so many legal stuff and
private
you need to know your stuff.
Do you actually work with responsive resize when you work from a template?
You mean like that be able to change
that you
things?
resize it to your
Sometimes,
to your
yeah,
sizing,
but most of the times I kind of like it for my workflow. It's important that I can like have the full control myself, and I'm the one who's. But it's a great feature, and I think people who I think there are people who really like really I'm missing the word. Really have a workflow that has a. I'm missing the one word.
It's fine. I was just, when I opened the UI kit, I was just playing around, because obviously one of the great things of that UI kit is that these are components, all of them, and you can switch on responsive resize not only for artboards but also for the actual objects. And that is what I was playing around, and I was thinking, oh yeah, if my screen is bigger but I like this specific cookie, I can just switch on responsive resize and just scale it up and down. So
that's true. That's the big
I really
advantage.
like that. I was playing around with it. Jan is saying some think that the name originates from the story of Hansel and Gretel, who were able to mark their trail through the dark forest by dropping cookie crumbs behind them. So, who do you believe more? Hansel and Gretel or me? No, Jan or me? Where did you get that from? Livewire? No, we're not spreading rumors here. Where did you just get that icon from?
It's my own app. I can make a lot of advertisement again.
Oh, that's your icon app that you developed.
Yeah, right. So you're just opening the app, and then you get like a search bar, and I've just typed in settings. I can also type in like heart icon and anything I need for the UI. And then the cool thing about this is that I can.
Is that public? Can other people use that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
It's free, and you can download it at.
Maybe we should show that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or I'm going to send the link.
So on our website where we are selling our fonts, which is shapefonts.com, there's a like a link to Icon Club, which is the name of the app, and you can just like go to shapefonts.com/Icon Club.
This free icons?
Yes, right. And then you will be able to download it for Mac or for Windows.
Brilliant. I'm going to.
And it includes like I don't know 20 or so icon sets, like Font Awesome or Material Icons by Google. Like you got the.
So are these fonts or are these vector graphics?
These are vector graphics. So that's the main advantage, because they are all SVG. So with XD supporting SVG, I can just like take one of the icons I'm deciding to use, and I need to look at it. So just drag it into my artboard, and then I can resize it and change the color and everything because it's vector. And
do you usually turn your icons into components once they're in there? No. I always do. I love that functionality so much. Like when you change the color of one icon, and then you see all the artboards changing.
Yeah, that's true. Like I'm a little bit old-fashioned, even though XD is like 3 years old or something like that, because I started from right at the beta phase, like and
there were no components.
There were no components, and it's a great feature, and I should like use it more. But if you're like having these habits in your workflow and you want to design something quick, you really don't use this new kind of features. But you know that they are there, and they are pretty cool. You understand why they are there, and yeah, I have to use that more, but it's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, I pasted the link from your icon set into the chat, so if you guys
cool.
out there
Thank you.
want to download the icons from Philip,
I have to
you
say
saw them?
that those are not my icons. That are icons from
Okay.
other people. So I didn't create the icons. I just
you
created
selected
the
them.
I selected them and I created the library to have them all, because there are so many icon sets out there, and you have to download them all, and then you have like these files in your Finder with all these different icons. And I just wanted to have one app, like one big library, to have them all in one.
And you just drag and drop them.
And you
in
just drag and drop, and when you are searching like hard, you're not searching through one icon set. You're searching through all of them.
Brilliant. Matthias is saying, Jan, maybe in Norway they had cookie crumbs. Standard story is breadcrumbs. You don't get confused with breadcrumbs. That's another thing. We don't do breadcrumbs anymore because we simplify everything, right? But back in my days, I did design websites with breadcrumbs.
It's true.
Yeah. It was good back in the days because obviously the systems were more complex. So it was good to see the path in the top where you actually ended up with. And I feel, and I've seen like nowadays that still some shopping websites that are very complex still do it. So they see like which folder you're in, like which area, like okay, I'm in sofas, I'm in new sofas, I'm in leather sofas, and so on. So I think for this industry it still works, the breadcrumbs, but we are here with cookies. Maybe they were also all just hungry and that's why they named it like we're like sitting there very early in the morning, like
And they
bread
maybe
crumb.
they
I wish
have
they
eaten
only
cookies by then when they came up with it.
Yeah, right.
Like they were
They were
eating
just
cookies.
How do we call
Or someone
it?
had like an idea for a name and he was eating cookies and no one could understand him.
We just make up our own story
Yeah.
now, like forget about
mean, why not?
science. And just spreading rumors.
I mean, if it's a better story, why not?
Jan is saying, I have the breadcrumbs option enabled in Mac OS Finder. Makes it easier to drag and drop parent folders. Yeah, fair enough. In systems, yeah. Which is a completely different area again than websites and apps. Yeah, no one seems to tell me the real cookie story. So we just assume that the one that I was telling is the right one.
It sounded right. Definitely sounded right.
I'm the woman here. My story is right. Period. No, just kidding.
Yeah, so what I did now is
Spaceship icon?
this is something I maybe should explain at first now, because this is an icon which is there at all time, because it's like the go back to top button. So it's sticky in the corner, and so if you have a long font list or something like that and you want to go back to the top, you can just click the rocket and it will fly you to the
nice feature. I like that.
top of the page. And while this is sticky and it's visible at any time basically on the website, I thought, why not making the same thing like with the cookie notice? Because what I told you earlier is, I think that the decision to like accept and to give your consent should be revocable, and you should be like able to get back to that settings at all time. And if I have to search the cookie settings, I won't do it. So it has to be visible, it has to be reachable and accessible at any time. So I've just created this little other floating element, which is also sticky and next to the back to top button. And whenever you are visiting the site,
maybe you should put a cookie icon in there. You know, like a real
cookie icon.
Yeah, rather than the lock.
Yeah.
Because I would have. I mean, if I was to see it, maybe I would think that's where I change my password.
Okay, that's a good point actually. Yeah. Problem is that there is no cookie icon in Icon Gallery yet.
Let's draw one.
But we can draw one. I mean, why not?
Let's make a cookie.
Chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Chocolate chips.
Rufus wants a chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, the chocolate chip one for Rufus.
We're all hungry. It's 11:20. Everybody's craving cookies. Now Jan is saying maybe it comes from Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Why is no one backing up my story with the Unix magic cookie package? Data file package that is being stored. Why is no one? No, I mean, at least no one is against it, so it's true.
I think I'm not the best kind of icon designer.
But that's really cool. You're creating a cookie in XD.
Yeah.
Like a rainbow cookie with chocolate chips. Rainbow chocolate chips.
Should I do some crumbs as well?
Rufus, do you want crumbs?
Yes, otherwise it looks too much like a pizza.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
Rufus is saying
Once you
it looks
see it.
more like a pizza. So we have to do some amendments.
Oh yeah, it's also could like be some kind of space thing, which is good as well because it's a space theme.
Yeah. Or Swiss cheese.
So is that an acceptable cookie icon for you, or
Rufus, would you eat that?
would you eat this, Rufus?
Yeah. Okay, Rufus would eat
great.
that. These are the crumbs. So we added some breadcrumbs.
Yeah, everything.
We have cookies, breadcrumbs, everything.
Thought of everything. Yeah.
We're in Germany. We're at a bakery.
And so I used for the circle. I used the same object. I duplicated the whole page, and then I used the same object as the cookie notice itself. So when I'm going to prototype mode, and I click on the cookie notice, and I connect this with my artboard, I can tap on auto animate, and then hopefully it will like shrink into this little bubble, so that we've got a nice animation.
Nice feature.
Right there. And then, oh no, we can start with it. Look, maybe it's already working. Wait, I have to draw this line at the OK button, so of course. Yeah. So when I click on OK now, it should like go into this little
Nice and
cookie.
smooth.
So the user gets to see where the option is going, so that he knows, okay, at a later point when I want to change my mind, there it is.
Can I wire it back?
I can wire it back,
Yeah,
of course.
that's so fast to do, isn't it? Like now
Yeah,
you
it's
wired
just
it from one
it's
side to the
basically
other,
just one drag, and then it's done.
and it inherits the settings from before.
Yeah. Just
Now we
pops out.
enlarge and we minimize cookies.
Yeah.
Big cookie, small cookie,
Yeah, right.
all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, right. So, next thing I wanted
Have in
to...
the chat macarons. No,
Macarons.
maybe we should come up with a new feature in the web, like just a new law
Yeah.
that we decide now, and we
it's-
just call it macarons.
Or donut or
Except the
something other.
macarons.
Like cake or donut. And what else is there? Cupcake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to do is, so the user has clicked on I'm okay, and it grew into this little bubble, and the user can keep on searching for fonts and everything, and sometime maybe he wants to really change the settings. So at the next time he's clicking on this, we won't be able to get this little screen. We will be moved directly to the cookie settings, because now he really wants to set something to change some settings, and yeah, that's the next thing we're going to create now.
So you also work with duplicating your previous artboard.
Definitely all the time.
Yeah,
That's
I do too.
best
because
feature.
it just inherits. It inherits like all the names that
All
you
the
have
names,
given,
yeah.
so nothing goes wrong in
Yeah,
auto
yeah,
animate.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I do that.
I mean, you can change the name manually so that it works again with auto animate, but I always think that's the fastest way to do it.
Yeah, I do the same. And on the side, do you usually have the assets panel open or the layers panel?
The assets.
And why is that?
Because I mostly need to get the same font size and the same color quickly, and
you define
I'm
it
not
right at the
that
start?
kind of a I'm not that kind of a layer guy. So,
Okay.
So I'm type. So no, I'm not doing that. No.
Usually, like when I start with wireframing, I'm all into layers only because I don't have anything in assets. Because I just start with something.
Yeah.
And then once I have filled the something with something,
yeah.
then it changes well. I think once you're in visual design, it's more the assets panel, at least for me. And once you're more like into still, or also when I'm in prototype mode and I'm doing all I'm more into the layers because then it's already done.
Yeah.
So I need to see which objects am I connecting and to see if you have like all the ones selected, if they're all in a group or like I always find it interesting to see how others work, you know.
Yeah, it's totally interesting.
Am I the only one?
Everyone is working differently, and then some are working the same ways. I mean, I have big respect of the ones who are creating programs like XD or something, because that's really where you have to make a lot of research, because everyone is working different. I mean, visiting a website, and so everyone can adapt to something that has been there. Someone has like created a UX and everyone is following it, and it's okay. I mean, it gets you to wherever you want to go fast. And with a program, you have so many different kind of workflows that I think it's so hard to UX a program or something like that, which is so like which has so many features like XD, for example. I mean,
I always want, you know,
so
when
cool.
I'm teaching XD to people, I always want to give them options. But that's also why it's interesting for me to see how like more advanced people like you are using it. So I know more options to teach them.
Yeah.
But I also like, I usually teach them, the assets panel is here, but it only becomes relevant once you are into visual design. And before that, it's more relevant that you tidy up your layers, because only when your layers are tidy, you can do a prototype, like this sort of thing.
Okay.
So. And changing the gradient as well.
The gradient, I wanted the gradient to always be a little bit different, so the user interface doesn't get too boring at some point. So I'm always playing with different gradients, but this is not final. I mean, I'm changing the gradient now, and I'm creating everything, and then I will be changing the gradient again, and then tomorrow I will be changing the gradient again, and then the next day I also.
But the colors are set, so it's
the
always
colors are
pink and
set.
turquoise.
Yeah, right.
And you
so,
came up yourself with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have also got the another gradient which is used at some other points where we have the this gradient, and we wanted to have another gradient next to it. So that's also like a contrast gradient. I don't know, like a secondary gradient. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing now, because I will be changing it afterwards. So I'm just leaving it like this gradient. I don't know if you guys can tell. If you want it another way.
We get the message of the
you
gradient.
get the gradient. Yeah, it's a gradient. I mean,
can see that's a gradient.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, you know, I feel like I also started more with visual design, and then I got into UX. And it's really hard, like when you change your mindset to a UX designer, that you really have to park that aside to get to focus on the relevant things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you come from a visual background, you keep forgetting it at the beginning when you're changing roles. I don't know if this happens to you as well, but like seeing you moving with this gradient, it's, you know, because at the end of the day, it's not important how you put the gradient, it's important what is inside, and if the user gets it and clicks on it, because that is what UX is all about, right? And then afterwards you can play, like if the user gets it and clicks on it and it works, then you can play around with the gradient, right?
Right.
But it's like one of these visual designers' disease that you always get stuck
it's a disease.
in it. And
I agree. I
and
totally
then
agree.
move one pixel to the left and one pixel to the right, and
I'm doing this like for 10 minutes, and and basically I'm at the start again, at the beginning. beginning
but
of
you
my...
can train yourself. I did it too, and
Yeah?
I'm not doing it. Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't been doing it for a long time because I've been working as a UX designer for
Yeah.
like 8 years now. So yeah, and before that I was visual and video editing, these sort of things. Yeah, and there I had this disease as well. Like, no, it's not a disease, but
Yeah. Well, it's...
you get
it's,
my jokes.
Yeah, it's... I know what you mean.
We also have now in the chat macaroni, but Rufus is saying that's a different thing. Yeah. We're setting up a whole menu. Imagine you have, I mean, you're creating a font size. Imagine you're creating a grocery site. How do you differ? Like accepting a free cookie with my delivery? Of course. Would be interesting to see some user testing if it's actually misleading. Because I can imagine, like, for an older generation,
Okay.
if your grandmother is going to order something from a supermarket, then accept cookies. Yeah, of course.
Of course, why not? I mean,
for my tea time?
yeah, for my grandchildren, they like cookies.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I accept cookies? I mean,
Would be
if they are free. Yeah,
Would be
I get your
interesting
point.
to-
You're right. That's true.
I love doing user testing because so many things always come out of it that you would have never thought of. Because, like, for our generation, it's just normal. It just is what it is, and we're joking about cookies, you know, because we know what we're talking about. But I'm sure there are people from other generations out there who are also not in the IT industry, who might have
true.
done something completely different. Like, I don't know, my grandmother, she was a lot into gardening and stuff. She would never know what a cookie is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to think of that people too.
Yeah.
You have to think of everyone, but I think that's also a very difficult part because you're always like in that own tunnel, and you have to control yourself.
That's why design thinking is so important.
Yeah,
like it's so important to put yourself into someone else's shoes.
That's true. You have to empathize a lot with people. I think that's a lot of the responsibilities you have as a designer. You have to think like them, and you have to understand them, how they're feeling, and that's basically empathize with them. Yeah,
I've also, speaking of trust and responsibility, I think I've done my fair share this summer as well. I have set up student summer camps in London, and I had 4 events, and each event was 2 days. And students came, and I taught them on day 1 purely how to do design thinking. So we did an entire design thinking workshop, and only on day 2 we were using XD to create a prototype.
Oh, cool.
And everybody was like, I mean, it was obviously in the description, but most of them didn't really know what design thinking was and why we were doing that a full day before actually jump into software training.
Yeah.
But then they got the message, and they understood how important it is in so many aspects of our lives. So I think it's so beneficial for all areas of design. Even like if you just think about architecture, I mean, an architect has to think of, is this building going to be an office building, or is someone going to live in it? And based on that, the structure is completely different. Where am I putting the staircase? How many rooms do I have? Are the rooms big or small? Like if someone intends to live in there, then they're smaller. If it's an office space, it's bigger. And you know, there's so much stuff, and then
so much to think about. Yeah.
And that's also user experience, right?
Of course.
If you get in your house and it takes you a long time to get from one room to the other, then that's not a nice experience for you. Or if you take a long time to find the toilet or something, that's also
basically
not
UX is everywhere, right? I mean,
it's everywhere.
It's how
even
you
in
sit
the
on a chair.
supermarkets. Why are certain products in that shelf and not in the other shelf? Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Or even how you set your flat, where you put furniture and why you put the furniture, and if are things reachable from where you're sitting, and these sort of things. Yeah, it's into everything.
Yeah.
So I took the responsibility to teach design thinking along with XD, because I find it very important, that part, to think big, put yourself in the user's shoes, and then narrow it down, because you can't create it all. And I always feel, you know, like narrowing it down is so important, because not only as a student where you don't have the time and you don't have the money, even for bigger companies, it will be like that throughout your entire career. Because like no company wants to waste money, so it's always good to start with a smaller prototype where you really test the unknown and then add functionalities onto it if that works, like
Yeah.
if the first one works, because
Okay.
if it doesn't work, then what did you waste? A couple of days of work? Okay, didn't work out. Okay, let's get rid of this idea and think about something else. But that's better than building like a whole app for over a year or something like that, and then you release it
course.
and then people just don't download it. Or
Yeah.
also some of the over-designed apps. There's so many beautiful apps out there, but a lot are just over-designed and have no functionality.
That's true.
I had this before as well. I wanted to find an app that I had on my previous phone. I downloaded, I wanted to have the same on the new phone, and I couldn't find it in the App Store. So I just downloaded the first one that looked really pretty. And then I was in the functional, like then I was actually using it. I was like, it just doesn't do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was, actually it was just to convert currencies.
Okay.
And it just had like these beautiful graphs all over,
Okay.
and I was like, oh great. But then you have to click on each one individually, whereas the other one was not so pretty, but it just had a list of all the currencies, and once you type in one number, it changes the number throughout all the currencies that you have added in the list. So the list doesn't look pretty, it's just the list. But I can see like on one screen what my €1 is in all of the other currencies or something like that. It's just it doesn't look pretty, but it just does the job, whereas the other one was so pretty, but it never did anything of that.
Yeah.
It was just like showing beautiful graphs and where it's going and where it was, and yeah.
Yeah. So you're gaining
Now
a lot
we
of
have a-
trust at first with having a beautiful UI and everything looks so great,
That's
and then
true.
you're losing it all
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
bad UX.
Yeah,
So you really have to have both.
you have to have both. Yeah,
You have to have a great UI and a good UX, because that's how.
they just go together. That's
Yeah.
why it's called UI UX. They
Yeah,
usually
right.
one never goes without the other.
No, and I
Yeah.
think UI is also a part of UX, so it's basically all UX
Yeah.
and UI is a part.
It's the whole process.
Yeah. So,
Now we have a bigger cookie.
yeah, now we have a really big cookie. But it's a cookie notice. We have to say this, because
What's the
cookies-
difference?
The difference is that cookies are like files that the website or the service is storing, like with my personal information, they can even look which system I'm using, my language, and everything the computer or the website is giving to them, and they are storing this and they are using it for better service, providing better service. And that's basically, they are just files, and this is like agreeing to let them store my files and my personal data.
So the package file that I was talking about.
Yeah.
It all comes back together to my hypothesis. So you work with objects as
That's my guilty pleasure. Yeah, I'm creating objects, and then mostly rectangles, and then I'm just looking, because that's
I did also a lot of back in the days, a lot of screen designs in InDesign, and I was always using the text indent because that did exactly that job, and it was always the same.
Okay.
Where here we would maybe call it margin and padding, probably, possibly, I don't know. But yeah, it's not there yet. Maybe one day. Martin is asking, can we win something in the challenge? Yes, a cookie. No. You can
a box
accept-
of cookies.
A box of cookies, no. Tim is saying, the idea behind the daily creative challenge is to improve portfolio and sharpen your skills. Yeah, that's true. Daily creative challenge helps as well. So you were just using repeat grid?
Yeah, I was choosing
You're always
the
doing
repeat.
fancy bits whilst I'm reading
I'm
Hansel and
sorry.
Gretel
I'm
stories.
so sorry.
No.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I'm just so used to it because it's like one click on one button and then I can drag.
Yeah, and I'm thinking from the side, how did he just get from 1 to 3?
Yeah. And I can easily change
He only
the
had
padding.
one cookie. Then I was reading here a comment, and now he had 3 cookies. How does this happen with repeat grid?
Yeah. Should I do it again? Or?
No, I know how it works, and
Yeah, I know
everybody
that you
else.
know.
So
Yes, I know that.
It's recorded, so people can see. You don't have to redo things.
That's great.
Do you also work with it like when you get different text and then you drag and drop text files in it? Have you also done that?
I did that. Yeah, that's so
I did
cool.
too. That's so cool,
and
right?
pictures as well.
Yeah, pictures.
Yeah.
It just all fills it. Yeah. It's magic.
And there even is a plugin for, I think, having an Excel or like
Google Sheets.
Google
it's
Sheets,
It's also
right.
from Impeccable, the same who did the cookie.
Cool. I really like that one.
Template.
So cool.
Do you have that installed?
And not on this account, but
Okay.
I can install it if you like.
Yeah, we could take a look. Would be interesting to see.
How's it
Google
called
Sheets.
again? Google Sheets, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So if you have an it's not Excel, it's Google Sheets, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It looks like Excel, but it's not.
Okay, cool. So I can like load an CSV, and then I can. Then it will automatically fill in everything in my grid.
I actually created. You can find it on my Behance. Don't want to make commercial for myself, but on my Behance.
Should I go on your Behance? Should I?
If you want, I
Sure.
I put a video there as well how you can use it. It's if you type in on top /Stephanie/4XD or like that.
Yeah. Okay. What should I type?
Stephanie and then number 4 XD.
Just go on your profile.
Yeah, on my profile would be good. Yeah. And then when you scroll further down.
Yeah.
Down. It's a bit longer ago. It's here, Google Sheets.
Cool.
Yeah, when you click on the link that I provided, on this one, then you can see my Google Sheet. So I have created time slots. So if you ever need to create like a time slot booking app or something like that, you can copy and paste that link or the column and paste it in your own Google Sheet. And that's cool. Like in 24 hours, so I have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then it just populates in the repeat grid. It populates it automatically like in 24 hours. And then let's say if you book a table in a restaurant app and the restaurant is just open from 4 until 10 p.m. or something, then you just delete all the others, but you have the others automatically populated. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So if you don't want to create time slots manually yourself, you can.
There's so many useful plugins. I mean, how long is the plugin store online?
About a year.
About a year.
Yeah.
And there are already so many.
I should
plugins.
be around that time. Yeah, we have September. It's a year. Yeah. Yeah, we have over 150 plugins by now.
I have to add a text, I forgot that. Like a headline. What's it called? Strictly necessary copy.
And where do you get that copy from? From the original website?
From from the UI kit. By Impeccable. What's it called? Okay. I have to hurry a little bit now.
Did that go lost or?
No, I think. Yeah, he's putting in the other text, but that's no problem. We can like exchange it.
So how important would you say is it to design cookies, to implement cookies in the design? What advice would you give our viewers out there?
Like the cookie notice? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory now because of the regulation. And you're seeing them on every website right now. And so it's very important to have one. And I would like advise to get the one where you really have to accept and not the one where you where it just says that you are using the website, because I think that's not it's not enough right now.
It's not 100%.
Not 100%. And I also think that it's important to have an easy way to change the setting afterwards, because I don't think anyone is using it. I mean, we are all clicking on OK, but I mean the whole thing and the whole
idea of the
whole
law
idea of this law is that you are having full control at any time.
And transparency.
And transparency, right? And if a website offers this, I think I'm trusting this website more, even if I don't use like this feature and I don't click on it again. But I see it.
I also feel we think a lot of times that a lot of laws are nonsense because they're just common sense. So why is there a law, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is a profession such as a lawyer, and they must have thought about it, and they must have done the user research.
Yeah.
So they must have had a fair point to put that into practice, right? So we should,
definitely.
on some things, we should just
there are some challenges, like with business cards, for example. It's it's not a digital medium, it's an analog medium, and so it really gets hard to say, what about data then? It has to be protected too. And so the general idea is great, and it's definitely a good thing. But there are still some problems I think we have to solve, and which have to develop. I think there will be some things happening in the next years or so, because many people are like confused and helpless, and they don't know what should I like do. What is my duty to do and to implement, and it has to get a little bit easier, I think, also with the business cards especially.
Yeah. For sure. Your app is in the build, or is it still a concept?
It's just a concept, because I think at this time
you're waiting for Apple.
I'm waiting for Apple, right?
So Apple, if you hear that.
Apple, hurry please. No, I think at this time it's too soon, because I mean, we're having 2019, and there are so many things that have been digitalized, like music and movies. We're watching Netflix now. We don't buying DVDs anymore, and there has to be a reason why that's not been done with a business card. Because I mean, there are also a lot of advantages, such like you have Netflix, you have wide more selection of things and stuff, and that's the same with the business card, but it didn't happen. So there has to be a reason because it didn't happen, because I think there's too many traditions involved, it's too soon, and people are afraid of change, and so
it's always good as a designer to think in the future.
So I really would like to create this project, but I think the time is not right yet.
Okay.
Especially when Apple is not letting me do this.
But the time is definitely right for cookies.
Definitely.
So would you just have the toggles on this specific one?
Yeah, you're having like these three kind of different cookies. Mm-hmm. And so I think I have to hurry a little bit, so I'm just putting this here and ungroup it. So of course, there would be a different text here and here, because you have strictly necessary cookies, you have functional cookies, and you have performance cookies. But I think there are also some other different types, but that are the three most common used kind of cookies. And so you would maybe, in our example, font space would collect three kind of cookies, and this one is always turned on, but I have to make this more visible because I think this looks more like turned off, because that's actually what I wanted to do with this one. So that's like turned off, and so we need to make this a little bit more turned on. We can like go to 25 here.
So you wouldn't recommend working with colors just to keep your own layout?
Yeah, because at first I thought about making those boxes white, and then the sliders, the switches would like have this gradient if they turn on, and they would be colorless if they were turned off. But I thought those white boxes with this gradient looked too massive for me, so I decided to make the boxes transparent and just stay with the gradient design. Yeah, so that's. But in general, I wanted to work with the UI that's already been there, because it's like a setting of the website. It's not like the setting of some other website that's been implemented into this, and it should look like the website because you are setting some things up for the website. I have to drink something. My mouth is starting to getting dry.
We have almost come up to end now, so thank you very much for showing that to us, for working with the Cookie Banner UI kit.
Yeah.
And again, if people have joined us recently, the link is in the chat history. I pasted it there, so you can download it as well. And then, tips from you are your number 3 tips for using the Cookie Banner UI kit is use the one where you can choose which cookie?
Where you can choose, where you can click on accept, because that's important. You have to interact with the cookie notice. You have to give your consent by a click. And then the one where you can like get more into detail if you want to at the second step, like if you really want to like set something or look at the cookies which they are collecting. So basically this also gives you information about the cookies they are collecting, so it's not only to make some settings, it's also to like learn about the cookies they are collecting. And the third one is to always keep the option at a reachable place, so that you can easily return to your settings and you can easily revoke your setting.
That's great. Thank you very much, Philip. It was
you
really
for
nice having
me.
you here. And we are going on next is Rufus with Francesca. She's a UX designer focused on financial and payment systems. So stay tuned and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.